Hello! We meet again. If you're not up to date, I started a series on the mug a few weeks back. The first episode was on making the body of the mug. The second episode was all about trimming the bottom of the pot, making a handle, attaching it, and leaving the pot to dry. This episode is going to be all about firing and glazing the mug. So here we are with a batch of mugs kept inside a plastic sheet to dry out slowly. By doing so, the handles marry the body well while preventing cracks at the joints. Depending on the weather, the pots take a few days to dry, a few days inside the plastic, a few days outside. Once it has no trace of moisture, it has reached its bone dry stage. Next comes firing, glazing, and then firing again. I have to make sure I have a good amount of pots in the kiln so it's fully packed. Once you realize and understand the amount of resources it takes to do a firing, it's natural to become strict about not wasting any space in the kiln. For the first firing or the bisque firing, we load the pots inside the kiln like this. They can touch each other, can be stacked one on top of each other, loading up as much as possible. Let's start the firing. We are programming the kiln to go up to cone 06 or 998 degrees Celsius at a medium slow speed, keeping the lid up for the first 300 degrees Celsius so the moisture can escape the kiln and not be absorbed in by the body. This firing helps in making the pot sturdy and stable for glazing, while eliminating any impurities in the clay that could lead to glazed effects. 9 hours of firing, 1.5 days of cooling, and here we are, warm and toasty. Let's prepare to glaze. We're first going to give the pots a wash so they don't have any clay dust on them, which could cause a glazed effect later. This is not a mandatory step, especially if you're glazing the pots right after the bisque or first firing. Once washed and cleaned, we'll be waxing the bottoms of the pots while they dry out completely. The drying could take a few hours to a day depending on the weather. Why do we do this? You see, our glaze has quartz or glass in it, which if applied at the bottom of the pots will melt and fuse in with the kiln shelf. The kiln shelf or the pot won't be usable after that. To prevent it, we apply wax at the bottom of the pot, which repels the glaze during glaze application and gets neatly wiped out. There are many ways to prevent the glaze at the bottom. The waxing method is my favorite and quite popular amongst potters. Once cleaned and waxed, I take a look at my shortlisted glazes and plan the colors and techniques I'll be using for this particular collection of pots. Here's what I've decided for our mugs: an earthy pink and a nutmeg brown. Let's get the tools and equipments for our glazing session. We have the glaze buckets, of course, a washing tub, a hand towel, a paintbrush, an empty jug or mug, sponge, glazing tongs, mixing brush, one for each glaze, and finally my planning notes. I'm using the pouring and dipping techniques here to glaze my pots. Before I glaze, I make sure I'm mixing the glaze well so it's not sitting dense at the bottom. Then I hold the pot with my hands or tongs and apply the glaze. It's important to pay attention to the speed of application and to not go too fast or slow. The application thickness plays a huge role in the outcome. Once done, the liquid glaze becomes a sturdy, powdery coating. To finish up, I'll be cleaning the bottoms of the pot. Notice how the wax repels the glaze? This is what I was talking about earlier. Any drips, cracks, holes, uneven surfaces are mended or healed using this mending technique. I'll be taking my time and getting this done hopefully in a couple of hours. Alright, let's load up. This time I have to make sure I load the pots in a manner that they don't touch each other. If they do, they'll fuse and we'll have to break them apart. All done. Programming the kiln to cone 5 this time, which is 1187 degrees Celsius with a 30-minute hold, a high enough temperature for the glaze and clay to mature, about a 12-hour firing and a 1.5 day cooling, and here we are. Let's open up.
Is just mind-blowing for me, and I thought I had ruined these pieces. Yeah, good stuff.
Here's my collection of mugs. I'm going to make some tea and enjoy my cups. See you soon.